Hello everyone, my name is Marta Vera and today I will explain the regulation of pedagogical practice and principles of the development of pedagogical educational practice. Particularities and characteristics of the course. These are two particularities. First, it is a methodological course, theoretical and practical. Second, it is a part of the practical component laid. Phase of the course. The phases of the course are three. Phase 2 and 3 are participation in the observation practice and correspond to 13 hours per phase. 8 hours participation of observation practice, 2 hours material development, 3 hours for SAPEC. In total, 30 hours. Phase 4 is participation in the observation practice. This phase has only 9 hours, 3 hours for the SAPEC, 3 hours for e-portfolio, 3 hours for simulate scenario. Now I will speak about the regulation of pedagogical practice. Agreement 78 of March 29, 2022. This agreement established the specific regulation for pedagogical and educational practice of the degree program of the School of Educational Science and has 9 articles. Chapter 1, Article 1, talk about of definition. Article 2 talk about the purpose. And Chapter 2, generality and definition. This chapter has 5 articles. The topics talked about in this article are related to the confirmation on the practical component, the pedagogical and educational practice, the nature and offer of the course, the teacher training and formative route of pedagogical practice. Chapter 3, curriculum aspect of the training route of pedagogical and educational practice. This chapter has 6 articles and goes from Article 8 to 13. It talks about the requirements that must be met in order to develop of the pedagogical practice, the registration of courses that are offered in the period of 16 weeks according to the needs of the service and according to the criteria of the program leader. Chapter 4, Principle of Behavior of the Teacher of the Educational Pedagogic Practice. We find Article 14. Article 14, they are Principles of Action of the Educational Pedagogical Practice. This article talks about the training teachers' action on integrating dialogue, protection of environment, respect for different and excellence of service and pedagogical practice. Chapter 5. This chapter corresponds to Article 15. It is about the actor of the academic network for pedagogical and educational practice. They are the national leader of the program, national teams of pedagogical and educational practice, national leader of the practical component of the school. School practice are leader, course director, teaching mentors, guiding the development of activity, course network interaction between director and teachers. Chapter 6, Seminar Pre-Practical. Chapter 6, correspond to Article 16 and 17, describing the assignment of the placement settings, the pre-practical at seminary and student participation. Chapter 7, Monitoring and Evaluation of Educational Pedagogical Practice. This chapter goes from Article 18 to 20. It contains the verification of learning, the assessment, and the reason for losing the course of pedagogical practice by the students. Chapter 8, Duties and Rights of Teacher in the Training of the Degree in the Development their Pedagogical or Educational Practice. These articles in this chapter are 21 and 22. Article 21 talks about the requirement that the training teacher must take into account the activities and guidelines that must be developed. It also talks about the report of the activities and the respect for all people. Now, Article 22, Teacher in Training Rights. This Article 22 refers to the students receiving a common payment, induction, or support from the academic network of the pedagogical practice. They must also be affiliated to the RRL and additional receive in the certificate of the practical exercise. Chapter 9 of the certification of the pedagogical and educational practice. This chapter is composed of Article 23 and 24. The Article 23 refers to the school where the traineeship takes place, which must complete with the regulation and the certification of the educational establishment. Therefore, a certificate must be used and internship time must be included in the intern experience time. The Article 24 speaks of implementation of the regulation from the date of its approval. Now I will explain in the guideline for pedagogical and educational practice for bachelor students. Reference. Here we talk about the regulation governing academic program in higher education from 1994 to 2020. It refers to the integrating that training teachers must have during their pedagogical practice, as well as dialogue with respect without discrimination. Therefore, difference must be respected and teaching must be adapted according to people's program with renewed enrollment. Bachelor's degree in foreign language with emphasis in English. It was approved according to Resolution 9864 of 19 June 2018. Now, definitions. In this point, we find the following definition. Practical component. It is the curricular construction of the program. Pedagogical and educational practice includes disciplinary, pedagogical, and research components. Now, a specific regulation for pedagogical and educational practice. This is a set of role and guideline stipulations by each school for program. Methodological course. Practical course combine theory and practice. In addition, emphasis the know who as a practical course. It focuses on a specific context in order to apply knowledge in simulate or physical scenarios. Now, training teacher. The person enrolled in an academic program at UNAD in order to acquire the competence and standards of the teaching professional. Pedagogical and educational practice route. It is a part of the curriculum where we find the formative group of the educational pedagogical practice, which has to fulfill several requirements, such as having previously done the pre-practical seminar. It consists of the pre-practical seminar. The objective is to reflect on and understand the process of pedagogical and educational practice. It is done prior to the internship. This course must be taken in order to complete several hours of practice, which are supervised by the course tutor. SAPEC is a support through synchronous meeting mediated by TICS, web conference between teacher and student to discuss education and pedagogical practice simulator. It's an academic tool. The simulator is a digital learning resource for the formation of concepts, construction of knowledge, and its application in new scenarios. Focus on diversity of our nation's context, inclusion, multiculturalism, tradition, among others. Likewise, practice in the simulator is mandatory. In addition, this practice is an integral part of the evaluation rubric in the corresponding phase within the course on the formative route. And this activity is developed for the foreign language acquisition or learning course, which form part of the practical component and whose strategy is scenario-based learning. The student must also apply subject knowledge, critical thinking, and problems. Finally, it's necessary to fulfill the requirements set out in the pedagogical practice to obtain the degree of bachelor and art in a foreign language with. Finally, it is necessary to fulfill the requirements set out in the pedagogical practice to obtain the bachelor's degree in foreign language with emphasis on English. That's all for today. Thank you very much.